You're listening to the Outstanding Life Podcast with your host, Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy. As a motivational speaker, Johnny D impacts audiences around the world with his message of living the outstanding life. He's a best-selling author, MC, and two-time Grammy-considered artist. This podcast is a place where Johnny D can introduce you to his outstanding friends and share funny, interesting, and heart-provoking stories. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. Here comes your host, Johnny D.
Hey everybody, I'm Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Outstanding Life Podcast. Before we get things kicked off today, I want to say a big hello to all my friends tuning in on Dirt Road Radio, KYDT 103.1 FM and KBFS 1450 AM. In the Outstanding Life Podcast studios with me today, my good friend Joe Downing. Joe, how are you?
Good, Johnny. Glad to be here.
Man, listen, we've been talking about this for a long time. You know, we're finally going to do an episode about cars. Like we all have a story to tell, right?
Yes,
I mean, we all have a favorite car. Yeah. So I'm going to call a couple of my friends today, and I'm going to call a good friend of mine, Steve Perkins. He owns Cruisin Sports. He does all the apparel for like Chevrolet and stuff like that. So we're going to dial him up. This guy has, I don't know how many cars he has, but he has a lot of them, and he likes to talk about them.
Great.
So, hey, Paul, if you would, dial up Steve Perkins. Steve, we got you on the line?
Yes, sir. How are you doing today?
Absolutely outstanding, man. Hey, Steve, thanks for taking my call, first of all. Where are you at right now?
I am in outside of Okeechobee, Florida, actually.
You're not in the office.
Days off and get ready for the Daytona 500.
All right. Hey, Steve, listen, man. When I was going to do this episode, I thought to myself, who can I call that loves cars? And you were one of the first ones that popped into my head. Do you remember your very first car, or maybe a car that your dad brought home? Like, was it a family car that you remember first? Was it your car?
I can recall several cars, actually, but so before I could drive, my dad was his own service manager for Chevrolet Motor Division based out of Los Angeles. So we had back then they had a lot of what they call company demos. And that was during the big muscle car era, Chevelles and Novas and such as that, even El Caminos with big block engines and, high performance small block engines and things like that. So about every other night or so, maybe once a week, he would bring home a different vehicle, but he always drove the high powered stuff. He didn't drive the big Caprices or station wagons. He brought home a 4-speed Chevelle with a 396 or a 454 motor, and we'd go out and ride, right? So we'd go out and run the side roads behind, outside of Fontana, which is a Southern California city. And really enjoyed that as a kid, and that really built my passion for cars at a young age. Then after that, my first vehicle, so there was a lot of those cars, but then my first vehicle that he bought me was a 65 El Camino. His car was pretty rough, obviously, for a 15-year-old boy at the time. And he told me to good luck and you do the best you can with it. So I tried to learn how to do body work and that kind of thing. I wasn't very proficient at that, but I was always pretty good wrench turner. So and I learned that with him earlier because we'd build some pickup trucks and cars like that in our garage at home in Upland, which is another suburb of LA. With that said, he decided, though, that he didn't trust the power I was making for this El Camino. I built my own little engine for it, a 350 motor. So he took it down to the GM training center. And back then they had technicians and body people and all kind of people come there. So interesting enough, he decided to paint the car canary yellow so everybody in town could spot me in case I was speeding or doing something wrong.
That's funny.
And they did spot me because before I got my license, one afternoon I decided I couldn't wait no longer. I had to go driving, and I snuck it out and went around a corner. It's a little too fast, I guess. I didn't do anything dangerous, but I guess this guy walking his dog thought that I about killed him and his dog, which I never jumped the curb. And then next thing I know, my dad's getting a phone call. How this guy found us before Facebook, I have no idea. But he did, and he calls my dad up. Well, then they restricted me from driving until I was 16 and a half. So I had to wait another half a year for my punishment.
Oh, man. Was that car a 4-speed car, or was it a turbo 350? Or
No, it was a oddly enough, back then, Power Glide
Power Glide,
transmissions
okay,
were,
yeah.
and interesting enough, they are for drag cars today, actually, too.
Yeah.
Obviously built up. But then from there, I've had a numerous amount of cars. So,
hey, Steve, hang on a second. I want to talk about the El Camino for a second. Did you just read? And again, I don't know. I'm not saying that it is coming out or it's not coming out because I have no clue. But I just saw a video today of the 2025 Chevy El Camino coming back out. Now, again, I don't know if this is fake news or what, but I'm just curious. Would you buy one of these El Caminos if they come back out?
Well, that's a good question because I saw a little bit of the renderings, whether or not they're real or not. I don't know. I know they didn't come from General Motors, but there could be some concepts that are being touted. They've touted that for a while, and even in the Chevelle, to replace the Camaro. So to answer your question directly, I already have a 65 El Camino right now that I haven't built yet, and a long far cry from a current make and model car. I think it'd just be something to consider once you see it, how they power it.
Hey,
Me personally, I mean, I'm all about how much power can I get on the engine. If I'm buying a factory brand new car, I want to get the biggest motor they got and, the best stuff they have. Right.
So if you have a El Camino now, I'm just curious, when you get to the paint part of this, are you going to paint it canary yellow?
Absolutely not.
What kind of plans do you have for that car? Like a resto mod, or are you going to do it
more retro mod? I'm looking at doing a different frame under the car. There's a lot of good quality frames that make them handle a lot better than they did in that era. Okay. And they put a fuel injected motor in it, a late model LS motor, and that with a real good transmission, probably it already has a 12-bolt positive traction rear end. I may substitute that out for the Ford 9-inch, but all my other cars have a Ford 9-inch, except for a classic Camaro that we're leaving as original, other than it's been restored to original.
Okay.
But all the other cars have a Ford 9-inch rear end. But no, I mean, I'm anxious to see what that El Camino looks like. I'm sure everybody else would be too. But what's funny is that you think about how many years ago that was, and there's only a handful of us left in the United that they're still alive that can recall an El Camino.
Yeah, yeah. I had one of my high school buddies had a 69. It had a 307 and a Power Glide in it. Rust bucket, Midwest winters didn't leave much of the cars laying around, that's for sure.
Well, interesting enough, this 65 El Camino that I have, there's an interesting story behind it, actually. My dad's very, very best friend of life. They grew up from the age of from the third grade all the way up to their passing, both of them. They literally spoke to each other every week after they were grown adults and, had separated because of my dad being promoted and transferred and so on. But my dad made sure he talked to him every week. So they would call one another and basically talk about cars all night because they both loved it. But this 65 El Camino belonged to him. And before he passed away, his daughter, who, I've also known my entire life, and she's known me, she reached out and said, "Hey, if you want to have this car, I'll let you have it." So, I mean, that was a big surprise to me because they were never willing to sell it. And I had offered to buy it a dozen different times over a lot of years. So anyway, after he passed, or just before he passed, she transferred it over to me. So, which is really nice of her to do. So I have a restoration project in my hand, but it's in great shape. Mm-hmm. So I get to go back to, other than canary yellow, I'll be back to a better car.
Steve, how many cars do you have now?
I think about 15.
15. Do you have
now, that would be some late model stuff as well, but still, again, I mean, I consider C7 and C8 Corvettes, a collection of in a collection is not a day-to-day, passenger car.
I'm just curious. You've been around cars basically your whole life, and you're married to an incredible young lady named Tammy. Did you guys meet, and was she a car lady? Not
at all. But she's grown into be one. We met kind of accidentally, but then I was in the car business, obviously. So being a good future wife, she committed to the car business with me. We moved around and went to different dealerships and things like that as I moved my way up through the ranks in different automobile organizations. So, she experienced it all. That's been her life ever since she met me, I guess. And so now, she, for the last 30 years, she's managed the GM corporate account. And then with all the personnel and events and trackside stuff that we do for NASCAR and IndyCar and IMSA cars and drag racing and everything else you can imagine that involves motorsports, she's a part of it.
Steve, just real quick, before I ask you the next question, tell everybody exactly what you do there at Cruisin Sports, because I think it's, it's amazing. Plus, with me being, on the NASCAR circuit, IndyCar circuit, IMSA, you guys dress me very, very well. So tell everybody exactly what you guys do.
Okay. Well, you help dress yourself too, by the way. You do a good job picking out your stuff. We started in 1995, so we're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And it's there obviously was a lot of challenges through those, like there would be for anybody in any company. But we started out with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and we were basically the only trackside vendor. Back then it was very small, and we raced at more local tracks than today, where they race it, in conjunction with NASCAR and so on. Cup cars and Xfinity cars. But we were able to get a Chevrolet license to create Chevrolet merchandise along with NASCAR and trackside or regular Craftsman Truck Series T-shirts at the time. And we had drivers, Mike Skinner and Ron Hornaday. Hornaday drove for Earnhardt, and Skinner drove for Richard Childress. So we had those trailers that did that. Plus we created a catalog that went out to every Chevrolet dealer in America. And then, with the hopes that they'd order from us, and we go. So, those were rough, lean years. I ran the souvenir trailers myself, or the A trailer back then, and stayed mainly on the road. While Tammy and the others were running from the internal aspect of things. So over the years, we've grown now to 43 people that work for us now. And we're going to have a third trailer on the road. So we'll have 3 merchandise trailers at all NASCAR races. Our catalog has grown to be about 200 pages thick. Our e-com presence is growing day to day. We manage Trackhouse race teams along with a company called ServPro, the cleanup and restoration people that have about 2,000 franchises nationwide. We have catalogs for them as well and product. Our stock, our SKUs give you a perspective here. When we started the company, we had like 75 stock numbers, right? Today we got over 2,500 stock numbers.
Wow.
So, and that doesn't count sizes. That's just stock numbers. So, we carry a lot of stuff. We used to offer like 6 or 7 hats, and now we've got like 200 hats, in our book. They're just Chevrolet dedicated hats. So, it's going to be a big deal. We had to build 2 buildings. We keep we do in-house embroidery. We have our silk screen machines that do all of our silk screens. So we're A to B, so to speak. The goods come in our back door blank. They go out of our doors finished, and it's wholesale and retail. So currently we're running out of about a 40,000 square foot facility. And it's very humble in the beginning as well. We worked out of a 4,500 square foot little bitty building.
Wow, that's awesome.
So and we in 10 years later, we're like, this ain't gonna work. We're never gonna make it out of here. So we were able to build a building.
So Steve, I'm looking up your website online right now. On one of the first pictures is a '57 Chevy. Is that yours? Yeah,
we have a '57 Chevrolet. Yes.
Dang, that's a beauty. Did you restore that one yourself, or?
Actually, it was it's a joint effort. It was myself and California Street Rods and Chuck Lombardo days back when they had that. They're gone now because it's a long time ago. But yeah, that car is a interesting car because that was my dad's car.
No kidding.
Originally, yeah, and it's got a LT1. Corvette motors, they call it. I don't ever know why everybody has to put the Corvette label on it, but they do. So anyway, it's an LT1 motor.
Wow.
It's got a 700 R4 transmission. It's got a Ford 9-inch rear end with a 311 gear. It's Got air conditioning, it's got power steering, got power brakes. So
Nice.
it's a semi retro or retro mod, but with a lot of original features.
Okay.
Steve, your place is absolutely beautiful. And you've had to put 3 different additions on your building, just like you said. Isn't one of the additions just for your cars, though, as your son would say? Because you ran out of room at the house and Tammy didn't want all the cars at the house. So you had to build a little man cave at your place.
Yeah, I do have quite the man cave. You've been there.
Yeah.
We have upstairs. You go upstairs, you look out the windows at the shop, see everything's going on the floor where the cars are, and basically more to, just a view, that kind of stuff, and where people come and guest. It's a nice place to have. I'm very proud to be able to have that. And yeah, we did that original building. Well, so the original building was that rented building. Now we own the building we talked about a moment ago. Then we added on to where we have now to incorporate screen printing, all that. And yes, there is the car shop that's there that we built, exclusively for that. But, we bought the property behind us with the hopes of building another building back there that, I may wind up being kicked out of where I'm at now. We'll see. My son, as he's taking things over, they're kind of leaving me in the dust here and there. So I try my best to keep up, but I think they're thinking, I need to stay out of their way a little more. So,
hey, Steve, speaking of employees, and I know you just said you have 40 of them, and a lot of them been with you since day one, or for a long time. And the one thing that I always respected about you is you took care of the people that take care of you, and something that you've been doing a long time. And I'm just curious if you still do it. Every month you would actually go out and cook for your employees. Do you still go out there once a month, or do you now cater once a month for all your employees?
I'm sorry to admit, but I do have it catered now. That's I'm pretty good at cooking, but I ain't that good, as far as, serving that many people that fast without some helpers, and I need people to keep working instead of helping me cook. So I kind of had to back away from that, but every now and then we still will, but it's more of a rarity. But I tell you what, when we do, they do really enjoy it when we do ourselves versus having it catered. So it's funny you brought that up, because we've been talking about doing another catfish fry, and I really enjoy doing that. And we have a good sized kitchen and deep fryer and all that kind of thing to do that with. So we need to start doing that again.
Hey, Steve, before we got talking about Cruisin Sports, I was asking you about Tammy and if she liked cars and stuff. I'm just curious, did you ever buy a car for her and then modified it and say, honey, I thought you would love this? Because you're the kind of guy that would do something like that and make it yours instead of hers. And so you don't get in trouble. You say it's for you, honey.
There's been so many different cars in our lives. I may have tuned and did something on one car or another that probably didn't well, but just to, that's a tough one. I remember doing some things that probably weren't to her exact liking, sound level or something like that of the car, but here basically I try nowadays, you can buy cars that are, very, very performance oriented, as we all know. And so really don't have to do that much if you're buying new stuff, right? You get that,
right.
Corvettes, and even her Denali, that thing's got a 7.2 liter motor, so it'll get up and fly.
Hey, Joe, I got to tell you, there's a story that I know that we're talking about cars and trucks right now, but there's a story. And Steve, I want you to tell everybody listening, he went and bought a family, and I'm air quoting right now, boat. And Steve, I want you to talk about, because we're talking about performance and stuff like that. Tell the story about you going to buy the boat and what you ended up with, and how upset Tammy was with you when there was no room for her because she had to sit on the beach or something like that. But you did have the fastest boat on the water.
I'll try to make that. I had the fastest boat around. There's no doubt. Well, it did start out with a kind of a broken down old jet boat, and I sold her on the idea. We didn't have much money. We were fairly newly married at the time and had a baby. So I bought this old boat, fixed it up a little bit. Never was a very good boat. Sold the boat. I had to have a boat. Felt like I did. We lived in Southern California, and the big deal was going to the river and all that kind of thing on the Colorado River back in that day. So I talked her into letting me buy a pickle fork Crusader, and I say talked her into it. I think I surprised her into it is what I did. I bring it home. There's a pickle fork Crusader, full blown family boat. Had two front big bucket seats, and it had a bench seat in the back, and all these kind of things. And if you're familiar with a lemonade or pickle forks, that has the nose kind of pointed out, sponsons on the front, and they're always got a real cool custom kind of paint work done to them, or in the gel coat. Well, that was fun for a while, but it wasn't long, and I decided I needed a bigger motor to go faster, and I'd use that same boat. So next thing I know, we're taking the rear seat out of it and then building a 550 cubic inch motor with a tunnel ram with two big Holly Dominator carburetors on it, and huge camshaft, and all these kind of things, aluminum heads. So that motor's probably making about 700 to 800 horsepower at the time. So put that motor in it. Well, I was temporarily happy. I'm like, all right, this is cool. So we got pictures of me and my daughter riding in my lap, because we only had two seats now instead of a rear seat, right? So Amber's sitting in my lap, and I'm steering the boat down the Colorado River, and Tammy's over there. We're just having a good old time. Well, I raced it a couple times, and the boat was just heavy, because it was a big, it wasn't necessarily bigger than most boats. It's 19 feet, but the Crusaders they have a lot of weight. Next thing I know, without anybody's real knowledge, I decided that I'd get rid of that boat, and I get what was called a Crusader EX3. Well, the EX3 stood for experimental number 3, because the other two had blown apart. And the idea behind it was because the boat was so lightweight, and the hull and everything, it was less than 600 pounds was the hull of the boat. And I bought it new, had it specially made for me through a buddy of mine named Joe Podwaski of JP Marine in California. So it's custom done. It has single seat that just sits in the dead middle of the boat, engine behind me. I can reach back and touch it, and a steering wheel and a throttle pedal. That's it. And a tachometer. And had a little gas can or a little gas tank in it, held 3 gallons of gas. Well, it burned a gallon and a half at a quarter mile. So you weren't going far with that. Yeah, we weren't going far with that, I guess. Well, that became our family river boat, because that's the boat I had, and I raced regularly. I mean, whether I was really in a real boat race, professionally managed, or racing on the Colorado River for a case of beer on Saturday night, that was a big deal. So boats would come from everywhere. But anyway, the big deal during the day at the Colorado River was to load the family up, go to a sandbar, down there in the river away from the camp area. So I'd have to carry 3 5-gallon jugs of gas, along with the folding chairs, along with an ice chest, along with a baby, along with a wife, and they all had to sit on the side sponsons. They didn't have a seat in the boat. They just had to kind of lay on the corner.
Oh, man.
And I just have to idle down to the sandbar to get them out, and then I go race around all afternoon.
That's awesome.
That was big family fun back
then.
Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this message. We're talking to Steve Perkins from Cruisin Sports about cars, trucks, and SUVs. We'll be back after this message. Hey everybody, have you heard about the High Performance Expo? It's going to be the ultimate automotive experience. The expo will be held from June 3rd through the 5th in Charlotte, North Carolina, right in the hub of racing. This is where the best in the business gather to push the boundaries of automotive technology. Don't miss your chance to be a part of this exciting event. For more information and to get your tickets, visit thehpx.com. We'll see you at the expo. Hey everybody, I'm Johnny D, and you're back listening to the Outstanding Life podcast. I got my good friend Joe Downing in the podcast studios today, and on the phone we got Steve Perkins from Cruisin Sports. Steve, we've been talking about cars. We didn't talk about trucks yet, but we did talk about boats, and there is another car that I want to talk about, and that is your Camaro. What year is that?
That is a 1969 RS or SSRS or SSRS, whatever combination, I can't remember that, Camaro. It's all original car.
Everything you own has a great story. So does this one have a great story as well?
That's good history behind it, actually. My father purchased that for my mother brand new in 1969, other than it was a retired demo. I was talking about demos earlier from LA's own office, right? This car was also a set car, but it really wasn't used that much on the set, but it was a driver for Karen Valentine. And the people who are old know who she was. The television show back then was Room 222.
Yep.
And the association there was that John DeLorean, which anybody knows cars may remember that. Young people, again, wouldn't know who that is, but he's a world famous cocaine dealer. I say that jokingly.
Not a car guy, a drug dealer.
The father of the GTO as well.
You got to give him credit. He's trying to save his company. He wasn't using the crap. He just tried to save his company. But anyway, he really liked Karen. So that was his kind of side chick when he was in LA. He had some side chicks all around the country, supposedly, but that was definitely one. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. And so he gave that car for her to drive. So that was her driver. Anyway, came out of demo service, and my dad purchased it for my mom, and she drove the heck out of it for many years. She drove me around everywhere. That car, you remember back then, they used to have a strap on the dash for a hang-on strap, and we used to say, like, this is the go to hell strap, like, hey, hang on, because we're flying, we didn't wear seatbelts, so we just had to hang on to the strap. So anyway, I hung on to that strap a lot because you take a lot of fast corners.
Wait a second. So Steve, hang on a second. I know your dad was a car guy, but I didn't realize your mom was, a car lady as well. So your mom loved cars.
Well, she did from the aspect that she was married to my dad, so she had to.
Okay.
You didn't have any choice. I'll back up a little bit. They started at the very, very bottom of General Motors Corporation. I mean, you couldn't got any lower job than he started with. She helped him, guide him, and moved up and stuck with him till he became, the head man of Chevrolet. Back years ago. So he started in 1960. I was born in 58. So we had a long career at GM. I was born and raised it. So I look at myself now, I'm 67. I've basically been with GM in some form or fashion my entire life. But going back to that Camaro, it's a very unique car because it's all original, top to bottom, the engine, transmission, everything matches that car. It's never been modified. Clean as a pin, absolutely perfect mint condition, paint, interior. It's got the rosewood steering wheel. It's got the buckle strap for shifter. It's got all the trick accessories, right? So yeah, it's all original. It's a keeper. It'll never go out of our family anywhere. I was fortunate enough that my dad actually sold that car several years after my mom had used it, but he sold it to his cousin. His cousin just ran it straight to the ground. I mean, that's like terrible. And so he wound up getting it back and then going through it and having it completely restored to back original condition. I think it's been restored twice, though, overall, but never been driven. It probably hasn't been driven 300 miles since for both restorations.
So you don't drive it then? It's just for show?
No, we do. We get out. All of our cars get out and we exercise them. So, we'll every couple months, sometimes a month, depending on the weather. We start everything up, drive around town, put a little bit of fresh gas in them, and then bring them back in and clean them up and all that. But
what powertrain's that 69 have in it?
It's a stock 350 Chevrolet, never been modified, as I said. It's got a 350 turbo hydro.
Okay, got it.
Transmission, and it's got a. It's funny because. We own two ZL1 Camaros, right? One's a ZL1, one LT1. And I don't know how we didn't get killed in those cars back in the day. Yeah. That car goes down the road, it gets the high-speed shimmy and everything. I try to work all of it out. The steering just drifts on it. You go down the road, you can't hold a straight line. It just, everything's brand new on it. But it's sit there, just wander around, know? And, we used to race those cars around. We thought it was the best handling car in America. Now you get one of these new ones now. It's like, crap, I'll never drive that other one again. Yeah.
So all your cars are Chevrolets in your collection then?
Well, I've got one funny one.
Okay. One of them funny ones.
Yes, I have all Chevrolets. We have the two Camaros. We have the 3 Corvettes. We have the 65 El Camino, the 38 Chevrolet, the 69 Camaro, 57 Chevrolet, 55 and 56 Chevrolet. So the funny car is a little Carmagia.
Wow.
And I'm getting it. I love that little car.
Little
it's coming
German
out great.
technology there.
It's not fun yet. It's not done yet, but it's getting close. It's actually it's in New York right now, in Ontario, New York, getting final put together. I built quite a bit of it, and then became a little bit tired of it, and then realizing that I wasn't going to make it really the way I'd like for it to come out, since I'm not a Volkswagen Carmagia guy or Volkswagen. So I thought, well, I need to find somebody who knows better than me on how to wire this up right and do the things that need to be done to make it right, instead of me just butchering it together. But what's really cool about this little car is that I built all the suspension for it, though, in the shop. But I put a 3-inch, it's got a drop spindle front suspension on it. I put 4-wheel disc brakes all the way around it. And I put a Fomoco motor in it, which the original engines on those Volkswagens made like 45 to 60 horsepower, depending on, which version you got, right? And which ain't much of nothing. And I ordered an engine that's got 140 horsepower that's going in it. It's called a Pro Street motor for a Volkswagen. So it's going to be extremely lightweight with a lot of horsepower to weight ratio. Big wide tires, all slammed down. Yeah, it's going to sit about, 4 inches off the ground, I guess.
Wow.
So it's going to be a really cool car. And I had them painted Mercedes. It's a Mercedes color, but it's silver metal flake with a red interior.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be really pretty. I'm anxious to get it back. It's online right now at the guy's restoration shop. They're showing me pictures of it there. They've got about 150 pictures they made of it. It's coming out nice.
Wow. That does sound.
You can actually go there and look at it. It's called B and C Automotive Restoration. Capital B and C, but not the and, the symbol and.
Okay.
C Restoration. Click on that, and then it goes under current projects. And then it's a little 70 Carmagia will show up. And you'll see it when I took it up there. It's on my car trailer. It's all broke down and looked. I mean, it looked terrible taking it up there. It was not that bad, but it looked awful whenever I took the way it was sitting on the trailer, because it slipped off a tire, that was helping keep it going from bouncing down the road. So anyway, but as you go through the pictures, you see all the progress being made.
Hey, Steve, you got into cars because of your dad. I'm just curious, you have a son, you have a daughter. Do you have any special memories of you doing a project with them?
Well, Amber was never really into cars. Amber was a girl, so she's doing her own thing, right? But Justin, he wrote me into a deal one time, but it cost me a lot of money. He just thought he had to have an old Blazer, K5 Blazer. And I kept saying, Justin, just don't do that. Those things rust out. They're terrible. But Dad, I got to have one. This is going to be so cool. I'm going to take the top of it off. The back shell used to come off, right? Yeah. And I'm going to give myself a big dog, and he go right around the back of it. I'm going to be so cool. like Justin, I couldn't talk him out of it. So next thing I know, and this is his style, he just winds up keep working until he winds up doing something, and then he just tells me he did it, So after I thought I had him calm down, he found some old turd on one of those
Bring
websites.
A trailer or something like that.
Well, it was before Bring a Trailer. It's been quite a while.
Okay.
But anyway, you know what I mean. It was like wherever. So he goes, Dad, I found it. Come here and look at it. I got it for a good deal. I said, Justin, that thing, I'm just telling you, son, it's going to be bad when you get it. We're going to have trouble, because it was coming out of Indiana, which I knew is probably, snow and ice and salt, right? It's just in a terrible shape. Well, it was. We get up there, and the thing is sitting on a flatbed record. So I go start looking at it. Everything's rested out on it. But he's convinced that we're going to get this car fixed up. I said, all right. At what expense? Well, we'll do it ourselves. I said, at what expense, Justin? So anyway, we're standing in front of the guy. He goes, like, we all going to take it or not? And so anyway, Justin pays him. I wouldn't let him drive it home. I said, you're not driving it. I'm driving it. You're going to drive, what we drove up there in, because I didn't have a car trailer back in that day, and I didn't think to bring one either. So I drove it home. That thing's got death wobble. It's got everything going on as wrong as it could be. I mean, it was awful. So I got it home. I built him an engine. We built the engine together. We worked on the body some. We tried to weld it up as we could. We bought big tires and wheels, bought lift kit, bought all kind of stuff, suspension products, all that. Spent, I'm going to guess about $5,000 on a truck that wasn't worth $1,000. And so first thing he does, and I'm not lying to you, the first thing he does when we get it all running, I got him actually the 400 cubic inch motor, is a stroked engine. And I mean, I built him a good motor, it's a 4-bolt main motor and had high powered ignition on it and all stuff. So anyway, he takes off and he just couldn't wait to run it through the biggest mud puddle he could find. I didn't know. I'm just like, all right, well, be careful, take off. So I didn't know he was going to go off roading right off the bat. I'm not kidding y'all. He probably didn't go 5 miles from the house. He ran it off in the biggest ditch, mud hole, water-filled thing, filled the engine full of water. Absolutely filled it full of water. Had to drag it out, drag it home. And from there, you know what happened? I pulled the engine out of it, cleaned it back up. That thing just sat, and it sat, and it sat. And finally, I called one of those donation places where it's, you tack right off on your taxes.
Yeah.
I said, y'all come get this. They came and got it. So they got all the components with it, with the exception of the motor.
With all the cars that your dad had, did you ever sneak out a car when you were a young man?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever get caught?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a funny story?
Anytime.
Well, here's why, Joe. I mean, Joe.
I'll give you 2 of them, and both of them should be embarrassing on my behalf. To be quite honest with you. So one of them, they were having a little church get-together in the backyard of our house, and this was in Northern California. There was a car that Chevrolet built called the SS Laguna, and it was a takeoff on a Chevelle, and they were ugly as sin.
Like 73 or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Terrible.
I remember that.
Terrible. They try to stylize and make it look like they were really racy, But being a young kid, I got to go try this out. So I sneak it out. We push it down the road. We start it. We take off. And we're flying all through, the back roads of up there, that part of the country at the time. Well, I lose control of it. And some S cars, right? Because I'm trying to be Mario Andretti, and I'm flying down through there. It slides sideways. It hooks back the other direction. Well, when it came back the next direction, it was close enough to the curb that it hit the curb sideways, jumped the curb, landed out the field. I jump out thinking I'm completely dead right here, right now. I'm like, go ahead and call Jesus, tell him I'm coming. Because this ain't going to work. So I get out of the car. I mean, I guess I had Jesus on my side because it didn't even damage the car. I must have hit just right that it caused it to not bend the wheels and not blow the tires off of it. I don't know how, but restarted, drove it out, drove it back, parked it. That was it of that. Nobody ever found out anything. But the other time, the same house, my dad had a 62 model Chevrolet pickup that he kept on the side of the house to haul trash. And we go to the dump every now and again because back then you did your own yard, right? You didn't hire anybody to come mow your grass. So, we cut grass, cut trees, cut branches, all that stuff. So we loaded the dump out of that truck. Well, one afternoon when I got home from school, I decided I need to go out and test drive that truck. So I got the keys, took off, me and a buddy. We go up to this dirt field right up the street from the house, and I'm out there power sliding it through the dirt, spinning around, doing all these tricks and donuts and all kind of things, right? Well, it hooked in one of the slides, and it rolled over on its side.
Oh,
literally.
Your dad probably noticed that one.
Yeah. But I tell you, my dad was the kindest guy in the world because he knew boys are boys. He did a lot of, stuff himself that his daddy had to step in on because he was a hot rodder, right?
Yeah.
So he was always modifying or doing something on one of his old cars from way back then. I finally get out of the truck because, the doors are, you got to push those doors up. They're heavy. We're climbing out. So by then, these people had stopped from driving down the street that saw it, ran over there, and everybody pushes the truck back over on us all fours. Well, so now then I'm looking around it. And again, I'm 14 years old. So, I'm trying my best to not blow it up now because all the motor oil, the transmission fluid, battery acid, antifreeze, all this stuff had been running out of it because it's laying on side. So I check all the oil levels right quick. I only had to go like a half a mile back to the house. So I get home, I clean it, wash it, get it all done. Well, I couldn't do anything about the huge dent the size of a basketball in the rear quarter panel, nor the mirror that was caved in against the door on the fold-out mirrors on this all passenger side. To the credit of those old trucks, man, that thing was solid. It really was about all the damage that was done to it. I'm like, wow, this is not bad. So I never said a word, being a terrible kid. A couple weeks later, he goes out there to use it, and he comes back and goes, do you know why this truck has got dents in it and the mirrors break over? I said, no. I said, but you know what? Those boys down the street sure are mean guys, man. They may come back here with a baseball bat and hit that thing, and just for meanness. And he looked at me like I had 6 eyes in my face. But he never said another word after that. But he knew. Funny. He knew better. He knew.
So I'm just curious. Did Justin ever sneak out a car of yours?
He did, but he didn't go far. He decided one day, he didn't sneak it out. He decided one day he needed to move a vehicle that was in the driveway so he could shoot basketball hoops, and there was nobody home. And so he decided he could move it. Well, the next thing I know, he's trying to back out. He's little. He can't reach everything. Then he pulls it back up. Well, one of our neighbors across the street comes outside and sees this truck going back and forth in the driveway. Next thing you know, he's all the way out in the front yard with it. And then she's screaming. She realizes him, Justin, you got to stop right there before you kill yourself. So that's about the end of that.
Hey, Steve, have you ever taken a road trip in a car or truck that holds a special place in your heart? There's
one in particular, too. And it was I can recall it now, although it seemed like 100 years ago now. But my dad was our family was transferred from Detroit, Michigan to L.A., and this was in the late 60s. And he had bought my mother a 63, I think, or 64 Impala, bright red with a convertible top. And we had no air conditioning because it's convertible, and it was in Detroit. So you just, they didn't put air conditioners in those cars back then. I guess save money. I don't know why. But anyway, so we get moved. Well, it happens to be July. Well, you can only imagine how hot it is going across the desert from Michigan to L.A., California, through Texas, Arkansas first, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, with a convertible top down, 110 degrees, right down the highway. All this wind blowing in, but it actually was really fun. I mean, because it was just a big adventure, and we were little, so my sister was sitting next to me. She's 4 years younger. I think she's about ready to pass out and die the whole time we were going, but we made it.
Hey, Steve, just curious. You've driven a lot of cars and trucks, in your lifetime. What's the oldest car or truck you've ever driven?
My great granddaddy had a little back then it was a Humble gas station in Ennis, Texas, and he drove a car forever and ever and ever. They didn't drive very far in it, so he didn't have to worry about it. But it was a 32 Chevrolet. Well, let's put it this way. I was way too young to drive. I would sit in his lap and steer. Now, then when I got old enough to drive, an original car, hard drive original car, actually was a 55 Chevrolet with 3-speed on the tree and no power steering. I'm going to tell you something. You forget how strong men had to be back then and women to turn one of those cars. I'm telling you right now, you got to get up and crank on that thing. I mean, it ain't just go down the road and turn the wheel.
That's why the steering wheels were so big back then, right?
Yeah. And you got a 2-handed one, fist over and fist under thing, right? Yep. Just crank. That was a challenging car to drive. I drove one of those quite a bit because that belonged to my grandmother. Now that was an old car because you got to remember it was a 55 Chevrolet, and by the time I was old enough to drive, it's 18 years later, right?
Yeah.
And from the time that car was made.
And that was an old car back then, right? I mean, cars didn't last but 10 years in normal use back in those days.
Well, yeah. Because, nobody really went far back then either. They lived in those towns and just went to town and back and whatever,
Right.
Did that. But now the oldest car, we have right now is that 38 Chevrolet, and that 38 Chevrolet is bad to the bone. It's got a LT1 motor in it also with a Ford 9-inch rear end. It's a business coupe, fully restored, black on black on black. Then it's got power steering, power brakes, air conditioning, all that cool stuff. 700 R4 transmission, big wide tires and wheels on the rear. Super cool car. That car's like driving a brand new car though.
What's a car you still want, or a truck?
I really, really want a 62 to 65 model Chevrolet short bed custom truck. Maybe when I say custom, you remember they used on the pillar on the side post, they had custom.
Yeah.
Which meant as stock as could be, right?
Yeah, exactly. I want the trimmed out stuff where it's got the blinkers in the hood, all that. So I keep thinking Tammy will buy me one for my birthday one year. I don't know. She ain't come through yet.
So I'm just curious then, Steve, would you want it farm fresh, or do you want it completely, just done?
No, I want it done. I'm done doing cars, but not really. It's interesting because, we've all watched Barrett Jackson. You see what those cars bring, and they're big money, but you look at that vehicle that they're selling for big money, there's big money in that car,
Right. Exactly.
Or truck, especially trucks these days. They're crazy.
Hey, Steve, if you could pick one car or truck or SUV to drive for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? Would it be something older, or would it be something newer?
No, definitely new. Definitely new. I mean, I'll be honest with you. So it's just a free choice, as you just said, and money doesn't matter. I think it'd be really cool to have a McLaren or a Bugatti or a Ferrari or something like that. But if money matters, I just say there's nothing better than a C8 Corvette. I absolutely adore that car. Love it. Love everything about it. I wouldn't change a thing about it. And
that's quite a machine, isn't it? My brother-in-law owns one. We took it down to the Bowling Green Museum from Detroit, and man, what a great car!
Oh, I love it. I actually have two of them. One of them I got by accident, and the other one I ordered. So
wait, you got a car by accident?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay, you got to share this story. How did somebody accidentally buy a car?
Well, okay. So
were you drinking one night?
No. I went to Sarah Chevrolet, which we have one in Nashville. I know y'all have them up in Detroit or Michigan area, but we have one in Nashville, our house. And I went there to pick up a car that my brother was buying for his daughter for a Christmas gift, and so it was a surprise. So as I'm standing on the showroom floor, I look over and there's this Corvette, I could tell, but it had a car cover over it, and the car cover resembled the decaling on the Corvette race cars, the number 3 yellow car and all that they use in IMSA, and that GPTV, I believe it is, or GTP Pro. Anyway, it had all the decaling all over it, and I thought, what the hell is that thing? So I asked them. They said, it's a limited edition car. It's a C8. It's for the IMSA series, honoring them and all their wins and all that. And I said, is it decaled up like that? And they said, oh, absolutely not. I said, yeah, good, because who'd want to buy something you thought were imitation race car drive around the street? So they said, you want to look at it? I said, no, I don't need it. I already got a car, which came from them. I said, I've got a C8. I don't need another one. Plus, I don't have any room left in my garages. A week or two goes by. So they're taking bids on this car. So they let it sit there and promote it for a while, and then started, taking bids. And the highest bidder was going to win the car, obviously. And the difference between sticker price and selling price was going to go to a local charity of their choice, not mine, but a local charity. So they called me on the phone. They all know who I am down there. So they called and said, come on, man, just give us an opening bid. I said, all right. So I threw a number out there, and I thought I was in plenty good shape not to get this car. So a month goes by, and next thing I know, I see the phone come up, and it's there, Sarah Chevrolet. I'm like, oh. So I answer the phone. They go, hey, Steve, congratulations, man. You got this car. And I said, I don't want that car. I said, find out whoever bid just behind me, call them up, tell them they own it. I'll pay the difference of what I was going to pay for them to keep it. And I said, because I don't need it. I don't want it. They go, oh, it doesn't work like that. You got to come get it. I said, oh. So anyway, I had to go there and write a big fat check and bring it home. That car, it's a pretty old car. There was only 700 made with a convertible, hardtop convertible in silver. The rest of them were all yellow. And now out of that hardtop convertible, not all 700 are silver. I'm sorry. I mean, we're hardtop convertibles. I think there's like 300 of them. So it's very rare, very limited. there it sits. I've driven a total of 500 miles, and I've had it for about 2.5 years.
Hey, Steve, what's the fastest you've ever driven a vehicle?
192.
What was it in?
Corvette.
Was it on the track?
No.
Hey, Steve, with only a couple minutes left.
I have one of my ZL1 Camaros is built to the hilt. I mean, it's got all the special tuning and headers and injectors and cold air induction and all that kind of thing. And I call it my test track. There's a road by our house called Greenlee, and it's about half a mile long, and but it's big, wide, nobody hardly ever on it. I mean, it's just kind of like one of those roads that just goes out to the bypass. So I call that my test run track.
Steve, I think we took your one of your Camaros out there, and I was so scared, Joe, that I'm like, Steve, I'm done. I'm tapping out. He's like, oh no, this thing has more in it.
Yeah, when you think you got it all, it's still going, no, there's more, buddy. Hang on.
Yeah. Hey, listen, for everybody that's a Chevrolet fan, how can they find Cruisin Sports online so they can go and, buy their favorite NASCAR driver stuff? Sure.
One of them is www.cruisinsports.com, CRUISIN sports. Very important to spell it correctly. And then there's another site we just opened up for e-com, and it's called shopcruisinsports.com. And so, yeah, you can go there. Then there's links and, it'll move you around and take you wherever you want to go.
Steve, I can't thank you enough, man, for coming out, on the Outstanding Life podcast and sharing your stories about your vehicles and your dad and your wife and your kids. I mean, I can't wait for them to listen to this. But Joe, you have any last questions for him?
No, I checked out your Carmen Ghia on the BNC Automotive Restoration site. That thing looks like it's going to be a work of art. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, it'd be the most expensive Carmen Ghia in America. And I'm not lying to you either, buddy. Those cars,
I don't doubt it.
They're not bringing a whole lot of money anyway, because they're kind of just odd. But but it's a cool looking car because it's it's in between a Porsche and a VW Bug.
Right.
So
right.
But yeah, the bills have been mounting up there. Or invoices, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, thanks again, man. I really appreciate you being on the Outstanding Life podcast. Everybody, I'm Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy, telling you, be safe, have fun, and have yourself an outstanding day. We'll see you next time right here on the Outstanding Life podcast. Hey, I'm Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy. Let me ask you, are you planning a conference, convention, meeting, assembly, or any live event that needs a guest speaker? Man, I would love to be a part of it. For more information, visit motivationalcowboy.com. And don't forget to check out my Outstanding Life podcast every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. right here on Dirt Road, KYDT 103.1 FM. I'm Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy, telling you, be safe, have fun, and have yourself an outstanding day.
Thanks for listening to the Outstanding Life podcast. Follow Johnny D on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Motivational Cowboy. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the show, advertise, or would like to make a donation, please visit motivationalcowboy.com. And remember to have an outstanding day.